We'll see if all our hopes and dreams are going to come true, or if we cut it all out and start all over again. All right, new day in the shop. Today we're going to wrap up a bunch of odds and ends that I didn't get done while I was trying to get everything all fitted. I got the upper radius arm built for this when I originally put it on, but I didn't get it done on this side. So Dusty just barely welded that up for me. As soon as it cools down, we'll weld the link onto the lower control arm like the other side and turn it into a radius arm. And then I got the motor mount plates welded in. So the motor, in theory, should support itself. I'm not in too big of a rush to do that yet. The weight of the motor hanging on it is going to twist the rails pretty bad. So I'll see if I can build a cross member of some sort to keep the rails from moving around so much. But the next order of business is continuing to finish things up. So we got to cap these rails. Kian's getting ready to...
Just need to go grab a straight edge to mark and I'll be cutting them. I got the plate right there.
Oh, yep. Okay, yeah, we'll get those cut out. And we'll get those welded in. After that, I think it'll be time to mount the steering box. So this is the big old Ford steering box you saw in the last video. So I have these great big sleeves that will run through the rail here. So these are 2.5 inches long, so there'll be about 1/8 sticking out of the outside and 3/8 or so sticking out of the inside, because those are recessed. So we got to have that to clear the frame. Hopefully I can get both sides of the rail drilled square. And then that's always a treat. Yeah. We'll approximate square. How about that? Yeah. And once we get this box mounted, then I'll know exactly what we need to do to tie these rails all together. So all of this has to clear the box. I should be able to add some in here and get that strengthened up. Then we'll start on the coilover mounts. Okay. Okay, we got the steering box in place. We cut these big holes in the side of the frame to feed the sleeves through. We'll have to add to the top of the frame for this one, but we'll tie that all into the shock mount when we get there. Looks like everything's gonna work more or less. It's looking a little tight on the diff cover, but the Barnes diff cover is quite a bit flatter through there. So you can see how flat this Barnes cover is right there through that area. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable about that. And the last thing we need to check is the power steering pump. See how much clearance we have on that.
Oh yeah,
fits. Yeah, we got.
There's enough room to stick your finger there to get the belt on and off.
Yeah, everything will work. We got tons of room around everything. So I think now we're gonna take and support the engine a little bit, pull the blocks out from underneath the motor, and then articulate the front end, see how everything's gonna clear. We'll see if all our hopes and dreams are gonna come true, or if we cut it all out and start all over again. Here's to hoping. We have this jacked all the way up to go about 1/2 inch past full bump, just to see how much room we have on everything. And the radius arm's hitting the frame right there. That's all but hitting the bottom of the frame there. And then look at that, there's enough room on the equipment arm and the diff cover. Look at that, you can still put your hand around that.
Wow. Yeah, and there'll be even more room with that other diff cover.
That radius arm's hitting there. Yep. And this is all but touching the frame there. I mean, this is like
this is bumped.
I mean, it's touching the oil pan. So everything's pretty much hitting
all at the same time.
At the same time.
This
Which is
what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right here at the oil cooler, the hose clamp just barely touches the housing. That's with the hose clamp twisted right there, but we can rotate it. Yeah. So that we were worried if the oil cooler would clear, and it will.
We can rotate that right there. Oh yeah. That still clears. How centered are we side to side? We are 9.5. I think this front end's to the driver's side. About a 1/2 inch.
To the driver's side?
Yeah. So we're gonna have a 1/2 inch more clearance on this.
Oh, the whole axle needs to come to the driver's side? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That'll help there. Open up to the oil pan. It'll help there.
But even, this is worst case. You wanna steer it all the way passenger?
Passenger?
Okay, that's still gonna clear the tie rod. Barely.
Yeah.
Go.
No,
it's like a 1/2 inch.
Just barely squeeze my finger through.
Yeah,
all the way to
hold
the
up.
driver.
Ooh.
Well, I guess maybe the bolt.
The head of the bolt may hit it.
But
Depending.
how often are you going to be turned all the way left and get full bump?
Well, probably often enough that it could be a concern, but we can work with, that's manageable.
Right there,
Okay.
it's about straight again.
All right. Wow, that's awesome.
It really doesn't get any better than that.
No, honestly,
Okay.
like everything
All right.
is falling into place.
Now let's go ahead and let's drop that jack down. Let's see how much flex we can possibly get out of it. Wow, it's really not going to bind.
Yeah, that's it. Now this hitting the frame.
That's pretty much all the flex that this is going to have with 12-inch coils. So that's 6, 16. So that's 10 inches. I'll get a couple more. Yeah, they'll have still about 2 more inches of room.
That is totally acceptable, though.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Dusty. We don't see any obvious interference issues. And this is actually flexing more than it's going to be able to. The reason it's articulating so much is because our tacks broke on this radius arm over here.
Oh, yeah, they are broke.
So yeah, so it slid it back 1.5 inches from where it's going to be. It's not normally, because that's the problem with radius arms, is there isn't enough give in them to get a ton of flex out of them. And I knew that, and that's actually a quality I wanted to keep this stable.
We had so many worries a few minutes ago.
Yeah, it is super tight, but it has just enough everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You were saying when you were building it, you wanted everything to be maxed out, and it looks like you did it.
Just so I can have it as low as humanly possible, so
Make it more predictable and stable.
more predictable, more stable, and I just want to be able to drive this. If I want to drive down to Paul or Matt's place 4 hours away, I just want to be able to do it and not be wore out when I get there. So this is the steering shaft that came with the steering box. It has its magic FOMO right there that we're not going to tell anybody about. Of course, Keen's got to record it for posterity.
We're not telling anyone, but we will show everyone.
Nice. I had this U-joint on the shelf that went right to the original column. So we just took and cut the Ford stuff off and welded it right to the shaft. So
Let's see how ugly Dusty's work is.
this is a working template is what this is for our cross members. It is pretty homely looking, but it's so tight in there you can't see or really mark anything, so we're just kind of doing it all by braille. We'll take and clean everything up, all the corners, and then everything's going to get plated with some 1/8 inch. This is 1/8 inch wall square tube, but all of the verticals will also get plated, and then we'll radius all the corners, and we'll try and use as much of the remaining room as there is to strengthen all of the splices. Really won't see hardly any of this cross member time we're done, because it'll all be covered with additional layer of 1/8 inch, because there's a lot of stress on this cross member. And then these sleeves go through our motor mount plates.
Those 3 holes right there.
They're offset because we had to slide the cross member as far back as we could to get this piece to clear the front axle and the oil pan. It's a little embarrassing looking, but it's gonna work. Hopefully
Cool.
tomorrow we'll see some shock towers in it and see the coilovers on it and maybe the bump stops. And if we're real lucky, we'll have this front cross member in too. Guess it's time for night shift.
Okay.
The elves. The elves will come.
Yep.
Right there, the big fat elf.
I am. I'm the biggest, ugliest Keebler elf there ever was, so. We got this cross member all cleaned up and welded up. Looks a little better, but we just need to cap all the ugly, so that's what Dusty's doing. Oh, there's Kenner's truck. Nice. What are you building? What are you doing on your truck there, Kenner? Who said you could even bring that in the shop anyway?
You.
It's kind of old for the big.
We like a little newer.
So is my dad.
Hey now, that was beside the point.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I got it.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll go back over here in the corner. Take my old self over here in the corner and so. Okay. Hi, Kyler.
What happened?
Oh, I was making fun of Kenner and he turned it back around on me. So I guess that's what happens when your kids are too much like you. So Dusty's making templates here. We're going to make these pieces out of 1/8 inch plate. And the reason we're doing this is because it's so tight in this area where the front differential is that under full compression there isn't hardly any room at all. At full compression there'll be about an 1/8 inch clearance all the way around it. Well, full compression plus 3/4, so I'm making sure there's close to 1 inch of room to spare when the bump stop is fully maxed. So that way if something should happen, we don't lose oil pans and bend cross members and stuff like that. This is already 120 wall tube, so time we plate it with another 1/8 inch, this will be 1/4 inch thick. Should be quite strong, and it should hold up to the constant fatigue of this frame trying to flex. Doing that and tying the coilover brackets to each other and to the structure that's eventually going to be in the front here, that will make those rails quite strong so they're not twisting. But speaking of coilovers, I got this one bracket. I think this is where it's going to live. This uses every bit of the 12 inch travel of the shock. I did have to add 4 inches right there so you get this up high enough so I could get the full bump travel, which is not surprising since this is sitting so low. This is quite a bit lower than my Blazer. Even with the taller tires, this will probably still be 3 inches shorter than my Blazer. In fact, to show how low the ride height's going to be, this is within 1 inch of its actual ride height with the 40 inch tall tires on it, or 42 inch tall tires on it. It measures about 29.5. So Caden's Blazer has 31 inch tall tires, so essentially stock height tires, and it has 4 inch springs in the front. And his frame horn height is 30.5. And I'm still keeping close to 5 inches of compression travel, so overall I think I'm pretty happy with this. Cycle it again and see what happens. Yeah, make sure everything's gonna clear, but it sure looks good.
You ready already? Hitting something.
Yeah, we need to probably grind that housing. So we got that rib right there that needs to go all the way to, oh yeah, and we gotta flatten that that a little bit. This will have to get cut back into here because as it goes out, it widens. So let's have to go back. Like, should only take about 2 minutes to try and touch those up and see if we can get an 1/8 inch gap on it.
Coming down, Corb?
Coming down.
Is that your new favorite jack?
Kind of.
Oh, dude.
We could slide a piece of paper between there.
That's all we need, right?
All we need.
Do you want me to get the paper?
Well, I said I think the paper will fit.
You know, but almost.
Onion paper, maybe.
Yeah. It's like, I could spend another minute and it would be, like, it's just barely touching.
It is touching?
Barely. Kind of built. Should be pretty strong.
Yeah, it's gonna be way strong. It's way better than it did this morning when we started. So.
Oh, for sure. Not too shabby.
Yeah, sweet. Get that thing bolted in today. We'll be in way good shape.
Oh, yeah, for sure. A few more minutes welding, should be ready to go in.
Cool. A few minutes of running the hose over it so it'll cool down. Hopefully it's close to the same shape when we're done, so. All right, Dusty just had to leave. He had a party he had to be to, so it was getting kind of late in the day. Still a couple of things I'd like to finish up, so I'm Corbin.
Yep.
A couple of things we want to still do.
Yep.
The cross member turned out really good. Dusty did a super good job on that. I'm really happy with it. There's a lot of welding on here. I'm guessing it's not going to fit quite the same as it did before we finish welded it, so we'll stick it in. We'll see how it all fits and see what we got to do to make it do what we need it to do. So. Bolt to go in. Woohoo! One bolt in. I'm just trying to see what it's sitting on. Oh, I think it's this sleeve right there.
Yeah. It is. Got it.
Well, everything else is looking good so far, huh?
Yeah.
Got your glasses on, Cord?
Yep.
Perfect.
Might have to go a little bit more.
Wow, I guess so. I didn't do any more videoing last night after I put this cross member in. It got late and a lot of things were happening, so just want to show you that we have that in. We have this one Barnes coilover mount is tacked in. Everything on the lower part is fully welded. The front cross member's in for good. I just have to, when I pull the string box out, I'll have to finish welding the back side of it. We threw the exhaust manifolds back on so we can make sure we keep the motor clean while it's sitting outside. This piece right here is just temporary. It will come back out here shortly. Passenger side coilover mount is ready to weld on. Threw some rollers on it so we can roll it out. This will be the first time it's actually had weight on this axle since it's been put in.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. We're gonna get this down on its wheels, roll it out, and get some of the customer work done. Till next time, remember that whatever you do, do with the confidence of a 4-year-old in a Superman shirt. Thanks for watching.